Okay, great. Good morning, and thank you so much, Madam GM, for being with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are having our interview with the Hotelier, episode 3, with the General Manager of Pride in Beach Resort, Convention Center and Spa, Ms. Peggy Ashira. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Kate.
We really appreciate you taking time to be with us today, and we look forward to being inspired, educated, and informed by what you're going to tell us. So let us begin. Tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Well, thank you very much. I'm equally honored to be part of this interview with Hotelier Season 1, Episode 3. And I honestly believe by the end of it, I'll be able to inspire someone. I'll be able to educate and inform somebody something they are not aware of. I honestly, with all humility, refer to myself as a very seasoned hotelier spanning 21 years of experience in different capacities. And I'm currently, like you say, the general manager for Pride in Paradise Beach Resort Convention Center and Spa. We have a capacity of 300 rooms, and we have a convention center that is able to host 2,500 people. That's the capacity of our meeting rooms. So very high-end hotel, the only 5-star resort in Mombasa County. And in that case, I'm privileged to be the only female general manager managing.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and to end my introduction, I am first a mother, then a manager.
Okay.
I'm a very proud mom to 2 gorgeous girls. My firstborn is 19 years. She's pursuing a curious science in Strathmore University, and my lastborn is 13 years. She's a candidate in class 8 this year.
Oh my goodness, congratulations. That's fantastic. So you're also a candidate. This month, there's a lot of pressure on all of you.
Oh yes, next week to be precise.
It starts next week. Okay, we will definitely send out our prayers for support, and we are there with you and your daughters. Great. So tell us, how did you actually come to be in hotels and then now to be where you are today?
To be honest with you, Kate, I didn't dream, I didn't plan, I didn't anticipate to be a hotelier. For me, it just happened. I cleared Form 4 in 1992, and given the circumstances of my life, life never allowed me to dream to be anything. And so after Form 4, I was home for close to 4 years, precisely. And I did a couple of things. I worked in a curious shop, polishing and drawing zebras and giraffes. And when I got bored with that particular thing because of the smell of the paint, I went to a petrol station to become a pump attendant. And one thing stood out for me: everything that I put my hands to do, I did very well. And so there was this client who came to fuel his car, and he was quite impressed with my etiquette and the way I did things, and inquired to know why I was in a petrol station.
Okay.
And I explained to him that I had a very strong C+ in my KCSE at Mr. University by 2 points, and I didn't have anyone to help me to go to college. And so I opted to do all I can to help my parents put food on the table for my siblings. And so he asked for my KCSE certificates, which I gave them to him at a later date when he came for the next trip of fueling. And like that, he got me admission in Machakos Technical Training Institute, which is currently now Machakos University. Wow. And he enrolled me because he was a lecturer in the food production department. So he just enrolled me in his department. He enrolled me for a diploma in food and beverage management. Okay. And so that's how I ended up in college, taking a 3-year course in food and beverage management. And by and large, he actually got 4 of us in the class attachment in Nyali Beach, which was run by Block Hotels then. So we went for attachment in Nyali Beach in 1997. And as they say, the rest is history. So that's how I found myself in the hotel industry. It wasn't a dream, it wasn't a plan, but that's how it happened.
Oh my goodness, that's such a fabulous beginning. It even sounds like a real story, you know? That's amazing. And then from there, you've come all the way to where you are today?
Yes, I finished college in December 1999. And so I started working at the International Casino in Museum Hill. You remember the tuna tree?
Exactly. Now it has been bomoed, but
yes.
It is what it is.
Yes, so I started off there as a dealer in the casino.
Okay.
I would spin those balls and whatever dealers do, and I did that for quite some time. And then I would leave the dealer job to go down to the tuna tree bar to work as a waitress. And I did that for the whole of 2000 and 2001, when now I came back to Mombasa and started off as an ice cream girl in Bamburi Beach. I actually set up the ice cream parlor. And I remember the owner of Bamburi Beach, Mr. Jamal, loved me so much because I used to make so many sales for ice cream, and you'd come around the parlor and ask me, how do you manage to sell so much ice cream? So as I repeat, one of the things that stood out for me, even when I was doing the minor jobs, is that I did them so well that I stood out even in selling ice cream. I stood out in drawing those giraffes and zebras. Mine used to be the best. I stood out in the petrol station. I think I did very well with my customers. So one of the things that I'm grateful about is that everything I put my heart to, I do it with all my heart and soul. And I take that as a gift from God and something I'm really, really grateful about.
Okay, fantastic. Oh my goodness.
Explained to you from a casino dealer to
Yes.
a waitress, and that was basically 2001. And I worked as a waitress in Bamburi Beach, and I left Bamburi Beach. I worked in the Books First restaurants that were established in particularly Books First in Nyali, and I also worked in Books First in Likoni because they were owned by the same person.
Okay.
And when Chopati made their way to Mombasa, I worked for Chopati. And it was after Chopati when I joined Sarova White Sands in 2004. And basically, Kate, what defined or gave my career and definition is joining a leading chain of hotels. And I owe it to Sarova group of hotels. They molded, they groomed, and they nurtured the hotelier in me. So it all began very well in 2004 when I joined Sarova as a waitress.
I also joined Sarova as the first hotel group, so yay.
Yes. Yeah, thumbs up to Sarova Hotel. They did well. I keep saying it was a university that we all went through.
Yes.
And of course, being in a professional company, being in a company that embraced staff development, of course, for me, I was able to my potential was very well tapped. Because I was a waitress at the seafood restaurant Lido, where I joined in October 2004. Wow. And I happened to be allocated the managing director's table, Sandy Vora, God bless his soul. And Sandy saw the potential as I served him, and like any other leader who wants the best and who has a eye for nurturing and for mentorship, we spoke to the general manager of Sarova White Sands then, who was Mr. Mohammed LC. I salute him. And he said, Mohammed, there's a waitress at Lido. She's not a waitress material. Please tap the potential in her and nurture her. Okay. And it was a few days after Sandy said that, he traveled to Ethiopia to do a feasibility study. You know the story very well.
Yeah.
And never got to see this girl promoted from a waitress position. But thank God to a seasoned hotelier, thank God to a mentor, thank God to a man with a vision. Mohammed did exactly that. And I'll get to know the story later through him. And he nurtured me. And I am proud to say that Mohammed LC is still my mentor to date. He walked with me through my career. I worked in White Sands for a total of 6 years. Started off as a waitress. I was promoted to a supervisor, and I was promoted to a restaurant manager. And in 2005, I was voted the best restaurant manager in all the Sarova units. Was my first to get into a flight to KQ, to attend an award ceremony in Pan-Africa, attended an Oscar award ceremony. Many people know me there. So the story of Sarova White Sands is a very, Sarova Hotels is a very exciting story to tell. So by the time I exited the company in 2010, and that was after a total of 6 years, I was the acting food and beverage manager. And I learned a lot. The time I was in Sarova White Sands, I enrolled for an online course with Cornell University. I took a master's certificate in food service management. I learned a lot of things, managing people more effectively. I learned about restaurant concept, revenue management for restaurants, how to manage the code and the odd hours in the restaurant. And that helped me a lot to redefine the financial history of the outlets that I manage. And that is what actually kept me at the top, because the financial history of those restaurants changed because I implemented all the strategies that I learned in that online course with Cornell University. And while I was in White Sands in 2005, I saw Mr. Elsie take a strategic leadership course. He traveled to New York to join the Cornell University School of Hotel Administration for the General Managers Program. And I saw the manager he was before he went to Cornell. And when he came back, I saw the paradigm shift. And so in my heart, I decided I will save one day to take myself to New York and attend the same strategic. And that's the beauty of having a mentor, because you emulate and you pick the good things that you see in a mentor.
Yes.
And when I found out how expensive the course was, I tell you, I never thought it would happen. But that was 2005 when I bought that desire. But trust you me, in 2014, I managed to save 1,495 US dollars, which is school fees required for Cornell University for the program. And I self-sponsored myself to the GMP program in Cornell University. I did leadership, the strategic leadership course. I interacted with 46 general managers from 28 countries in the world.
Fantastic.
It was a forum that I will never forget in my career. It was so, it just gave me a new lease of life in my management. And I owe it to Cornell University. I recommend this program to anyone who is aspiring to be a general manager. I spent a lot of money. It was about 1.5 million Kenya shillings then. It was a lot of money. If I paid a deposit for a mortgage, I'll be having a wonderful house today out of that. But that house is in here.
Yes.
And other people building many other houses and duplicating many other things that cannot be, cannot have more value than the physical things.
Yes.
To that 1.5. So I'm so really grateful. My career path is one I'm excited about, and I talk about it over and over, because when I look back, it excites me, and I look back and I wonder, how did I pull through this? But I'm grateful to God.
That's fantastic. Okay. So you had mentioned that you're the only female GM in the 5-star hotel in Mombasa, which I think is,
and in the country by and large. Yeah,
that is phenomenal. So have you had any challenges as a result of being a woman in this role?
Yes, of course. Coming up, I remember when I got my, and let me just in general just talk about a woman growing up, a woman leader rising up to the position that I am in, because challenges don't just start when you become a GM. The challenges start when you begin rising. And as you win the first challenge, you gain resilience and you gather fortitude to be able to fight challenges as they graduate, because I believe challenges graduate at every level. When I first got my first promotion to even a supervisor position, the waiters I was working with, some of them couldn't accept. They were like, we've shown you how to wipe plates, we've shown you how to arrange cutlery, we've shown you how to set tables, you can't supervise us. And I remember one particular girl actually resigned. She told me, I cannot, you can't supervise me.
Because you are a woman?
Yes, of course. And of course, in the process, this has been a man's world, Kate. Let's face it, it's been a man's world for the longest.
Okay.
And so, though we've been able to demystify the fact that the woman's place is in the kitchen, we know that the presence of the woman in the corporate world is more saturated now. But
Yes.
the woman has to face unique challenges in the marketplace,
Okay.
more so in leadership. There are people who are not yet ready to be led by a woman,
Okay.
even in the 21st century.
And do you
And
think, as a result of this, yes, there are challenges, but do you think because of that you're a woman and you have this resilience in you, do you think that has given you some advantages also in your career and as you've moved along, and even right now as the GM in a 5-star?
oh yes, the resilience is very, very good, because let me tell you, one of the things that helps a leader is when the ambition that you have is for the cause. If it is
Yes.
for you, you can break and give up. But when your ambition is for the cause, if you don't look at it as your own fight, if you don't look at it as your own battle, you look at you giving in. You are giving in for the sake of other people. You are giving in um, uh, to the disadvantage of the people that you lead. You fight the cause, and you separate yourself from yourself as a woman, and you see your ambition for the cause. So when you fight for the cause, then you gain that resilience. And I'll give you an example. I would have given up. My forte is food and beverage management, and it's a very tough area. When I was growing up in the industry, I was poached by Leisure Lodge because I was acting food and beverage manager. And Leisure Lodge was a very busy place, just like White Sands. We used to do many weddings, large conferences, LSK, over 1,000 people, many big conferences. And that trusted in the hands of a woman. You get people sabotaging, you get people, and it's easy to give up. But you fight the cause, and people see you fight the cause. Eventually, they jump and join you in the ship.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Fantastic.
when you set standards, then people follow
Yes.
standards, and the fight
Yes.
ceases to be a personal fight. So if somebody
Okay.
is seeking to sabotage you and you've
Yes.
set standards to be followed, you hold them accountable on the standards. And so the
Okay.
sabotage loses meaning. And so when they see your objective and your fight is for the
Yes.
cause, it's not personal. That's what gives you resilience as a manager. So I
So then,
insist the
yeah.
fight and the battle has to be for the cause. The ambition has
Yes.
to be for cause. Because for self, it's very easy to give up.
True. So then, as a general manager, what are some of the key KPIs, your key performance indicators that you look at, you focus on, and are your goals? What are some of those that doesn't matter about gender, but what is it that we have to focus on, that the whole team has to focus on?
I think basically we work on a budget.
Okay.
And for you to monitor the budget, of course, like you said, there are key performance indicators that must keep you on track.
Yes.
And so the GTR is there looking at you, and you have a gross total revenue of X amount at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Now, for you to achieve that gross total revenue that is set at the end of the year, there are key performance indicators that you have to look at. As a GM, basically, the first thing you look at is your total number of rooms.
Okay.
What is the average room rate that you are selling each room at? What is your revenue available, the revenue per available room, which we call the RevPAR?
Yes.
And then, of course, the occupancy. You have to make sure that if you run an average occupancy of 50% daily, it will help you to meet this X amount of money. And if you do that consistently, then by all means, by the end of the year, you'll be able to meet your GTR. But of course, some of these things, again, go hand in hand with the employee satisfaction and the guest satisfaction ratio. So if you have happy employees, all these other parameters are well taken care of. If your employees are happy, then of course there is good customer service, and if customer service is good, there's good retention, and if there's good retention, you can also get good rates, and you get good rates, you enjoy good occupancies, and then by and large, it takes care of all the other KPIs, and at the end of the day, at the end of the year, you are smiling all the way to the bank, having met your GTR, having protected your bottom line,
Yes.
and of course having earned yourself the bonus that you committed to at the end of the year. So
Fantastic.
basically, in a nutshell, that should be the guideline in perspective.
That's great. Then tell me though, with this Corona last year and the current new normal, the extension of the lockdown, and all the things that are happening, do you think this has impacted on what you're saying is the way of working, the KPIs, the team, or has it emphasized that you actually still have to focus on that way of working?
Definitely, Corona has brought a whole paradigm shift in the thinking processes, but it hasn't thrown the usual KPIs out of the window, because we've been forced by circumstances to adjust some of the things that we do in a different way. In terms of rate, we've been able to look at a more affordable way of embracing flexi pricing, because of course many people are struggling since the whole of 2020. NGOs shut doors, so without compromising on the quality that we offer, we've been able to come up with different products to suit the spending power of different customers. We've embraced a flexi pricing strategy, of course, in tandem with quality, but of course now tailor-made packages for families, for groups. And so this has helped us in so many ways to adjust to the normal way of doing business. We've also embraced a multitasking model, because when we reopened the hotel from home, the hotels were empty. And so a bit logic for you to have 20 gardeners and 20 housekeepers. And so the multitasking model helps, where one person is able to do more tasks given the occupancy. So if I can do this task in housekeeping and jump and do this other task well, in portrait or in reception, that has helped a lot. And it has made our staff more dynamic. It has made our staff more careful, because what Corona did, it came to wake us up. It came to bring reality home, that you can be full today as a hotel and tomorrow you can close because there's a pandemic. So in that aspect, how do you adjust? You adjust your spending power as an individual and as a company. And that adjustment has changed a lot of things that, in my opinion, should be embraced even post-COVID. But the saving and the cost-saving strategies that we embraced during the pandemic, the waste reduction strategies, the multitasking model, our ability to multitask and look at our business model to be able to survive through a pandemic, those survival tactics should be embraced even post-COVID, because they all helped the business to weather the storm.
Yes. Yeah. Wow, that is actually fantastic. I even need to be taking notes here.
Thank
so,
you.
in all that you're saying, I feel that you have a very interesting managerial style. If you were to describe your style, what would it be?
I think I'm a concoction of a couple of management style, by virtue of how I have grown up, and probably, coming up through the ranks helps you. And the turkmen model of team development talks about a manager adjusting their management style based on where the organization is. In a situation where you've just come from home from Corona, and you've come and we are all starting, people's spirits are down, everybody's worried about what next. So that helps you as a manager to adjust your management style to suit where the people are, where the organization is, and where actually also the organization culture of the company. So there is no manager who is static. The managerial style is adjusted based on different circumstances. But either way, it should bear fruit. It should address both the hard and the soft issues of the business.
All right. So from what you're saying, you seem to you've had your mentors. You also are a mentor. So you have your mentees and you're a mentee. And how do How have you translated all of this into the skills you need? Because I feel that your success is because everything you've learned, you've utilized it and translated it into who you are and what you do. So what sort of skills have you developed along the way to help you succeed?
I think I have a very hands-on approach to management.
Okay.
I hate the office. I'm not an office manager.
Oh.
And when I say I'm not an office manager, I don't micromanage either. I am very involved in what people do. I can fold my sleeves and do anything in the hotel if need be. And so working with the people gives you a very deep eye for detail. And so one of the things that has stood for me, I'm very detail oriented. I also have a very good operational knowledge. I mean, like I said, I came from a waitress position, and I worked in Leopard Beach as an operations manager. So I interacted with all operations, and Sarova has this thing that we used to be trained in duty management, and you got yourself interacting. So I know all the shortcuts. I know all the panya routes that staff can use to do anything, and that makes me a very all-round manager. I also have a very good financial savvy, and that has helped me in addressing waste reduction, cost controls in every single department. There is nothing in a hotel that I cannot do. So that attention to detail, that hands-on approach, a good financial survey, a very good interpersonal skills, and I'm an excellent communicator. I actually tell my managers that I have a full hemogram approach. You know what full hemogram is? When you go to the hospital with a headache, the doctor will not give you Panadol. They'll want you to do a full hemogram to know what is the root cause of that headache. So I'm that kind of a person. And for me, for me, it works. I learned from my mentor never to sweep anything under the carpet. So if I get negative feedback in an area, I want to drill deep. I don't ignore even the smallest thing, because I have learned through experience that those small things, the businesses that go down because people ignored the very small things. Even a nation that ends up very corrupt and brings down parastatals and people close doors is because small things were ignored. So I'm a full hemogram person. I recommend a full hemogram for every little pain in the business. I want to know what the root cause is.
Okay, so part of the skills you need and what you'd recommend for anybody to get into the role that you're in, being able to pay attention to those small details,
yes,
would be very key.
Yes.
But then also your managerial style. How did you grow your understanding of numbers? Because you're talking about the gross total revenue. Now, when you combine your ability to analyze your numbers with your people skills, with your attention to detail, how did you grow that side of you?
Like I told you, Kate, I've taken a revenue management course that didn't just address restaurants, but addressed the entire aspects of, because you see, revenue is the bottom line. That's what you bank at the end of the of any financial year. That is the scorecard of a successful GM, is your ability to make profit. It is the bottom line, not how much you talk, that the owner looks at. And so all these things come along with good scheduling. If you have good planning and you have tools in place that we've talked about, and if you have a good PMS in the hotel, it makes sure that you have a good reservation system, and so you can't go wrong with your numbers. It means you have a good guest profiling tool, and therefore by doing that, these softwares, when you invest in these softwares, a good reservation system, a good guest profile software means that you can be able to capture guest needs, repeat business, guest preferences, address them well. And by and large, this is what generates good business. Again, if the website, a company's website, becomes the digital extension of the hardware. If you have a good website, means that people can still book your hotel, get to know everything about your hotel. We have over, I don't know whether I know the figures well, but I would estimate we have over 3 billion people in the world who have access to social sites. And so if you have a good website, a website becomes the digital extension of your hardware property. And so you expose your product, and if your website is very pleasing, people have access to it and they can learn about your property, they can book it. And you also now manage and you build the numbers. And that's what staff departments are driven by targets. We have the revenue generating departments that trickle down to a waiter. What I talked about the GTR per year, you break that down. If it's a restaurant manager, the restaurant manager knows what their GTR for the year is. So that means they know their GTR for the month. And that GTR for the month is broken for the week. So you know your daily revenue, your weekly revenue, and that of course will give you your monthly revenue. And you meet your daily revenue, means your weekly revenue is met. If your weekly revenue is met, your monthly revenue is met. And by and large, your month and the year is catered for. So this monitoring aspect of daily monitoring your revenue, make sure that you are not reactive, that you are proactive to what you're supposed to do. So numbers don't like reaction. Numbers enjoy proactive measures. So those are some of the things that you can do to make sure that you are good and you achieve what is set for you at the end of the day.
That is really marvelous. You sound like a superwoman.
Thank you so much. I have been groomed by supermen.
So tell me,
super god.
So tell us then, where do you think you're strong and where do you think you're weak? Because I think we are all, we are good, we have some good and we have some bad. So where do you feel you are strong and where do you think you could bring up?
I think I'm quite spot on. I think that is my strength, is that I have zero tolerance for mediocrity. And that for me stands out, is the only strength that I pride in. I'm a very good person in time management. I can't stand people who have no respect for time. If we agree to start the interview at 10, you can be sure I was testing the cameras at 9:30, because for me, I've programmed everything and I want everything to happen at the end. How has that helped me? I've given my managers very good planning skills, because you see, every failure for anyone to plan becomes an emergency on another person's side, because then your success depends on a couple of people. So if you don't plan your time well, and if you don't plan other people's, people will not plan their time well. And so they end up messing you up. So one of my biggest things is I hate complacency. I have zero tolerance for mediocrity. And I'm a time freak. Now, I have a tendency of wanting people to be like me. And I think that's a weakness. In my effort to duplicate myself, I get very disappointed when people don't meet expectations. And I think one of the things I learned from one of the men I worked with, his name is Kilian Lugwe. Kilian used to tell me to allow staff to make mistakes as they learn. So I've learned that people can make mistakes as they learn. And so I'm building on that.
I think everything is a strength from what you've said. So that is actually marvelous. So then, talking about your people, if I was to come to the hotel and ask your team to describe you in one word, what word do you think they would use for you?
Oh my God. Can I call one here? They answer you directly. Well, I think one of the things my staff will let you know is that I'm a go-getter. Others will tell you that I'm a now and here person, that I want it done now and here. And when deadlines are not met, and that's why I'm saying I'm spot on. I'm a no-nonsense girl. I'm think you'll get many words, but in those many words, you will understand the kind of a person I am. I'm very result oriented, and so in those result oriented, in that transformation, you will get all sorts of words, one word, but you not miss a go-getter, you not get she's spot on, you will not get she has zero tolerance for mediocrity. You not get all these descriptions in a nutshell.
Excellent. That's fantastic. So I know, Madam GM, you must be extremely busy, but as we conclude, would you have any words of advice or a parting shot you could give for our viewers?
I think for me, anybody and aspiring to be a general manager, because the opportunities are there every other day. People are looking for good people. You know, I keep saying that we are very good at talking about procedures and systems and standards, but what we don't realize is that procedures, systems, and standards are not writings on a paper. They are people. There are people strategically positioned in an organization to make sure that what flows must flow. And every time anybody drops the ball, it's a system broken, and that system is not anything on paper. So I think my advice to anybody that is aspiring to be a general manager, put your heart into it. We have beautiful buildings standing as businesses. And what drives success in those businesses is not the hardware part of that business, it's the software part of that business. And the software part of the business is people. Get the right people in the bus and get those people in the right seats. Gain zero tolerance for mediocrity. For me, it has worked because any tolerance to complacency defines is the difference between profit and loss, whether we like it or not. The more you tolerate complacency and mediocrity, the more you are attracting, you're minimizing your profitability in an organization. So I think we need to decide what we want, because people put up their businesses expecting return on business. And at the end of the day, when we choose to be nice people who are not bringing results to the business, one of the things we should remember, like my mentor puts it, we can't take those niceties to the bank. They can't put food on the table. They can't pay school fees. Yes. What will pay school fees is what we produce as the bottom line, is what leaves the owner of a business to be dispersed to people, either as profit attributable to shareholders that will be distributed to families, or either as profits shared with employees, or either bonuses paid to managers, or either extra cash paid to employees because the owner is happy. So we need to make up our minds whether we run businesses that are profitable or we go on a merry-go-round, running businesses that are just becoming a nightmare to the owners of the business. So we must be profit-oriented. We must be result-oriented. We must be growth-oriented. Growth to the business and growth to the people alike. That is what will transform this company, this nation, because when we are transformational, yes. And I'll talk about my current boss, a very young at 39 years, gotten into the industry in 2011. Yes, 2011. He has a total of 9 hotels now. Very futuristic, very resort-oriented, very strategic. I call him a think tank. But you see, if you have the wrong people on the bus, that business will not grow. And if that business is grown with the wrong people, it becomes business grown with mediocrity in it. So we must embrace excellency, because it is the passion for excellency that generates results and causes businesses to grow. My current managing director wants to open a Pride Inn hotel in every county in this country.
Wow.
Oh yes, that is his dream.
That's excellent.
And visualize or to just say 30 Pride hotels standing in every major county in this nation.
Yes.
Look at the magnitude of employment to people that are unemployed now. So many people have been to colleges and they don't have jobs. But people get those jobs and they play games with those jobs. People at the helm of leadership are not looking at transforming people to generate results. So you are the top of leadership as a manager, and you're playing games with somebody's business by not making sure the staff do what is expected of them. By don't make sure that the business generates the profit that is supposed to generate. Please think twice. Run that business like your own. Because when it grows, you will grow. There's no business that will grow and leave you the same as a leader. So we must fall in love with growth, because we are the people entrusted with the growth of the nation, the transformation of the people, and the change that we need in Kenya and in the world.
Goodness. I would say amen. Exactly. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Madam GM. Our purpose for these videos is to educate, inspire, inform, and I must say you have done all that. I look forward to even seeing you in your career as you move along, and also look forward to seeing the expansion of Pride in all the counties. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And on behalf of our audience, asante sana.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the privilege. I don't take it for granted. I'm so humbled. Asante sana for the time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.